Alright, so after looking at you guys' quizzes, it looks like being able to define an isotope was kind of a struggle for us. So hopefully after this video, you guys will have a better understanding of what an isotope is. So let's go ahead and get started. Hydrogen is our first element on the periodic table. Okay, it's number 1 because it has an atomic number of 1, which is also meaning that it has 1 proton. So if we go ahead and take a look at each of these atoms down here below hydrogen, you can look here, we've got 1 proton in this atom, we've got 1 proton in this atom, and also 1 proton in this atom. So all 3 of those atoms are hydrogen atoms. Okay, we can also look here and we can also see that they each have 1 electron, okay, because our positives and negatives have to balance out. So all of these hydrogen atoms have 1 proton and 1 electron, okay? Now, the reason why we call these isotopes is because they have something different between the 3 of them. Even though all 3 of them are hydrogen, because they have 1 proton and 1 electron, these 3 atoms have a different number of neutrons. So if we look at this first atom right here, there are no neutrons in that nucleus, okay? And then if we go down to the second atom down here, we can see that we have one neutron in that nucleus. Okay, and then obviously the third one has 2 neutrons in its nucleus. Okay, and so these are isotopes of each other. Okay, they're the same atoms, they have the same number of protons and electrons, but they have different number of neutrons. And so the way we distinguish these atoms from each other is by their mass. So if you remember back to what we learned in class is that the protons and neutrons are the only particles that have mass. And so this first hydrogen atom has 1 proton. So the overall mass of that hydrogen atom is 1 AMU. And so we call this isotope hydrogen 1. Because it's a hydrogen atom and it has an overall mass of 1. So that isotope is called hydrogen 1. So then if we look at the second atom below it, that atom has a proton in its nucleus. However, it also has a neutron. And so since a proton weighs 1 AMU and a neutron weighs 1 AMU, then that overall atom weighs 2. And so we call this atom hydrogen 2. Okay, this is looking familiar, should be looking familiar to what we've been doing up on the board. Okay, when I give you those isotope names and you have to come up with the isotope symbol, this is what we're looking at right here. Okay, this is where those isotope names come from. Okay, it's the overall mass of the whole atom. So let's go ahead and look at the last one, the third atom down here. Okay, and so this atom has 1 proton and 2 neutrons. So again, if a proton weighs 1 and each neutron weighs 1, we have an overall mass of 3. So we're going to call this isotope hydrogen 3. Okay? So again, an isotope is not the isotope symbol, and that's where a lot of you guys are getting confused on your quiz. An isotope is literally atoms of the same element that have different masses because of the different number of neutrons. Okay, so again, each one of these atoms here all have 1 proton, 1 proton, 1 proton, and they also have 1 electron, 1 electron, 1 electron. Okay, but they're different, and the reason that they're isotopes is because they have a different number of neutrons. Okay, which means they have a different mass. So hopefully this cleared up what an isotope is for you, and we'll see you in class.